Well, good evening. Elsa has strengthened. Maximum sustained winds now estimated to be 70 miles per hour, and there are potential for higher gusts. The center is currently 90 miles southwest of Fort Myers. It's slowed, so it's now moving north at about 9 miles an hour. Earlier today, the National Hurricane Center issued a hurricane warning for a portion of the west coast of Florida to reflect the increased strength. Elsa is forecast to become a hurricane before making landfall, with landfall appearing most likely in the eastern Big Bend of Florida or Nature Coast north of Tampa Bay tomorrow morning. But of course, if you look at how lopsided this storm is, anything to the east of the eye will have some storm impacts for sure. Hurricane warnings are in place for the following 7 counties: Dixie, Levy, Citrus, Hernando, Hillsborough, Pasco, and Pinellas, and there are tropical storm warnings in place for 28 other counties. There's a tornado watch for South Florida until 11 p.m. tonight, and additional watches for Northeast and Central Florida are possible late tonight or Wednesday morning. There's a moderate flash flood risk for Florida's west coast until Wednesday morning, with flood watches also in effect. I've amended my emergency order to include Baker, Bradford, Clay, Duval, Nassau, Putnam, and Union counties, and that's reflecting the path of the storm. All models agree it's going to ride the west coast of Florida, then it's going to bear northeast into the peninsula and likely go through northeast Florida. So the total counties under state of emergency are now at 33. The state EOC here has moved to a level 1, so that's 24-hour operations, and we did that partially because the impacts to some of the more rural, fiscally constrained counties. We've been in contact with all those counties, let them know we want to be here to supplement and support as need be. There are about 1,500 customers across Florida experiencing power outages, but we've got, between all the various utilities, more than 7,000 restoration personnel prepared to respond to these outages. In the event that counties need to provide food and water to residents, we've prepared supplies for points of distribution, including forklifts, traffic cones, tents, and other necessary items. We've staged 24 generator units, 24 water pumps, 5 HVAC units, and 64 pieces of equipment, such as forklifts and pallet jacks used at logistical staging areas. It's important for Floridians to have weather alerts turned on your phone, in your home, as you continue to monitor conditions in the area. This is going to end up impacting the Tampa Bay area late tonight. You're going to see impacts all across the West Coast, up the West Coast into the morning hours. We're anticipating a landfall probably between 8 a.m. and 9 a.m. tomorrow, somewhere again on the Nature Coast or Big Bend part of Florida. Please heed any type of warnings from your local officials. There have not been any widespread evacuation orders. There have been some voluntary orders in a handful of counties, and that's mostly targeted at people who have special needs, who are power dependent, or who are in very low-lying areas. But if you are provided that, even on a voluntary basis, we ask that you please take it seriously. And I cautioned earlier today, just be careful as you can complete your storm preparations. We'll closely monitor this storm and provide additional updates. The roads will be dangerous as this storm passes through, and in some ways it's fortunate this is going to be in the wee hours of the night. There probably won't be a lot of traffic on the roads in places like the Tampa Bay area and in the Nature Coast, midnight, 2 a.m., 3 a.m. But this is not a time to joyride. You do have hazardous conditions out there. And then if you do have a power outage, please, if you do use a generator, understand you cannot allow the exhaust to be inside your home, inside your garage. And if you set it up right outside a window and have the window open, you can still get the exhaust to come into the house. That will lead to carbon monoxide. We see fatalities. We've seen them the last 4 years in Florida as a result of that. So please, if you are experiencing a powder outage and you're going to use a generator, make sure that that exhaust is exhausting away from your home and is not being done inside the structure. We'll continue to have updates. We don't anticipate major changes to the track at this point. But if there is, obviously, we will be getting those from the National Hurricane Center, and we'll be passing along that accordingly. I'm going to let Kevin Guthrie, our Emergency Management Director, come up and say a few things.
Thank you, Governor. Thank you for your leadership in this response. As you've heard the governor detail in great detail, the preparations of the men and women behind me of the state emergency response team. They are prepared for this disaster, and they work 24/7 to ensure that we're ready for it. Again, you heard quite a few details from the governor on the actual capabilities. The State Logistical Resource Center is also working 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, with approximately 50 National Guardsmen to help us there. And the last thing that I would say is, since we have very few power outages now, I would remind people, if they wake up in the morning and they start to have damage, they see damage, the best thing that you can do as a homeowner is to go out and photograph that damage. Make sure you take pictures before you start cleaning up, especially if you have any type of flooding. Flooding only lasts temporary, so it's very important to get those high water marks, flood marks on your homes, and then take those pictures very, very quickly. With that being said, again, as the governor said, we will provide additional updates as we have them. Thank you.
Questions for Kevin or for me?
Governor, you requested a emergency declaration from the president before landfall. I guess we might get it. Do you anticipate getting it? And if we don't get it,
It's been approved.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
It's been approved. Yep.
Other federal assistance do you need from the Biden administration, or asking for?
They've been great. I mean, they acted on that very quickly, and so we appreciate. Obviously, we've been working closely with Surfside and that tragedy, and so we appreciate it. We also think, I know our senators, when I requested it, they were very quick to urge that it would be approved. So I thank Senator Rubio and Senator Scott as well.
On the search and rescue stuff, I mean, obviously I think everybody was in on Surfside. Have any of those personnel been staged?
No, we have search and rescue that are ready to go. And I want to thank, I've had an opportunity over the last few days to be able to visit with a lot of urban search and rescue from other states who came down. Obviously, Team 1 and 2 are down in South Florida. They were there from the beginning, 24/7. They worked their hearts out. We brought all the rest of the search and rescue teams from Florida down there. They were working on that pile, but we also understood that we just needed to make sure that we had the preparations done. And so Kevin's got those teams that are ready to respond. We have in Surfside now Ohio, New Jersey, Virginia, Indiana. And so we really appreciate it. I've had a chance to go meet with some of those folks. I want to thank Royal Caribbean for housing them on one of those nice cruise ships. They're feeding them and everything. And so there's a lot of good morale. Those folks coming down, we really appreciate it. And, I told them, I said, something tells me that some of you guys and firefighters, you just may retire to Florida. So we'll probably see them at some point in the future. We'll have an update more tomorrow.